Summary. The 4 frames of reference can be reduced to 2, physical and mental phenomena, or another way of putting it, body and mind. Even though they're divided into 4, it's simply the current of the mind that is divided. When you come to the essence of the practice, it all boils down to the body and mind. If you want really to simplify the practice, you should focus on investigating the body and then focus on investigating the mind. To focus on investigating the body, be aware of any one aspect of the body, such as the breath, and then, when you can keep focused on it accurately, spread your awareness to observe other aspects of the body, examining them from various angles. While making your investigation, though, don't let go of your original focus, the breath. Keep examining things until you've gained clear and true insight into the aspects of the body, and the mind becomes more quiet, still, and subtle than before. If anything arises while you are investigating, don't fasten onto it in any way. To focus on investigating the mind, set your awareness at one spot or another and keep that awareness perfectly still. After your mind has been still long enough, examine the ways in which it changes and moves until you can see that its movements, whether good or bad, are simply a form of fabrication, sankhara. Don't let yourself become preoccupied with anything you may come to know, think, or see while examining. Keep your awareness in the present. When you can do this, your mind is headed toward peace and clear insight. This way of practice falls in line with all 4 of the frames of reference. When you can do this, you will give rise to the mental moment that forms the path. And the moment the path arises in full power is the moment you can let go. Letting go has 2 forms: being able to let go of mental objects, but not of one's mind, and being able to let go of both the objects of the mind and of oneself. To be able to let go of both one's objects and oneself is genuine knowing. To be able to let go of one's objects, but not of oneself, is counterfeit knowing. Genuine knowing lets go of both ends. It lets the object follow its own nature as an object, and lets the mind follow the nature of the mind. In other words, it lets nature look after itself. Object here means the body. Self means the heart. You have to let go of both. When your knowledge can reach this level, you don't have to worry about virtue, concentration, or discernment. Virtue, concentration, and discernment aren't the nature of the mind, nor is the nature of the mind virtue, concentration, and discernment. Virtue, concentration, and discernment are simply fabricated phenomena, tools for extinguishing defilement. When defilement is extinguished, then virtue, concentration, and discernment disband as well. Virtue, concentration, and discernment are like water. Defilement is like a fire. The mind is like the person using the water to put out the fire. When the water has put out the flames, the water itself has vanished, but the person putting out the fire hasn't disappeared. The fire isn't the water isn't the fire. The person isn't the water isn't the person. The person isn't the fire isn't the person. The genuine nature of the mind isn't defilement, nor is it virtue, concentration, and discernment. It simply is, in line with its own nature. Those who don't know the nature of the truth maintain that death is annihilation and that nibbana is annihilation of one sort or another. This is simply their own misunderstanding. Even those who have gone no higher than the level of stream entry are able to know that the true nature of the mind isn't in any way annihilated, which is why they are people of strong, unwavering conviction, believing in the paths and their fruitions, even though their hearts aren't yet entirely free from the admixture of defilements. Those defilements can't efface the true nature of their hearts, just as an ingot of gold, when it falls into the dirt, may be covered with soot, but the soot can't turn it into anything other than gold. This is unlike ordinary run-of-the-mill people. An ordinary person's mind may be pure from time to time, but it doesn't stay that way. It can't escape from being defiled again, just as a sharpened knife will stay in shape only if it is kept bathed in oil. If you put the knife to use or forget to keep it bathed, the steel of the blade will turn into something other than steel. Thus, each of us should enthusiastically make the effort to reach at least the stream. For although all the qualities I have mentioned, whether fabricated Sankatadhamma or unfabricated Asankatadhamma, lie mixed within every one of us, none of them are as exalted as Viragadhamma, the act of dispassion that extracts the unfabricated from the fabricated, as gold is extracted from crude ore. The Buddha's teachings are subtle and deep. Whoever isn't set on truly putting them into practice won't know their taste, like a cowherd hired to watch over cattle without ever knowing the taste of their milk. Thus we are taught to study is to know the texts. To practice is to know your defilements. To attain the goal is to know and let go.